Well, one of the best things about marine science is that you may head out on the water with a specific scientific purpose and then find something else so cool that that's what you want to explore. Today we've had this amazing bonanza, this huge raft of Sargussum seaweed that's floated into the dock, and with it crabs, nudibranchs, little fish, little shrimps. So I think we're going to take a few minutes and pause from what we were planning to do just to have some fun and explore what's in the weed. Okay, so this was coral?
Yeah, I think so. Reef had eaten the most.
There's barely anything left at all. So looking at these bite sizes, that's what we're kind of interested to wonder if this was a fish or if that's a turtle.
Yeah, we just got bitten right down. Like, what's this number?
It had to be something.
Yeah, something pretty big to graze it down to that sort of level.
It seems if you put it around the mangrove and stuff, like they got other little seagrass to bite on, and they don't have to just come over and to get this one.
Yeah. These were the last ones that came out from the mangroves.
Yeah,
and I don't see a single bite out of there.
These ones came from the mangrove.
How can you tell?
Because they weren't touched at all.
Nope.
They weren't even touched.
So this one came out of the seagrass bed. There's a perfect circular bite mark. So something took a munch out of there. And then here there's a couple bites as well.
Yeah.
So the seagrass, there seemed to be something eating them a little bit. The mangroves not at all, and then in the coral, chewed down to next to nothing. What was your hypothesis? Do you remember, Sean?
I thought the seagrass would be eaten more.
Eaten more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I said that the coral reef.
I guess I was right.
Well, you know, the good thing with the hypothesis is that there's no right or wrong. It's you cut in one direction, and if you're right, great. If not, you've still proved something interesting. So
This is all one right there.
there's another coral reef one.
Me and Forrest. Dang. Whoa, they ate this thing up. We have to measure them, and then we're gonna weigh them in the lab, in the Bermuda lab, and
then find the difference from what we measured them previous to see how much was eaten.
This is a mangrove one, I think. Yeah, mangrove.
So we are starting to find out where most of the grazing occurred. But for our next experiment, we would like to find out why. For example, find out what is grazing on the seagrass, whether it's turtles, parrotfish, crustaceans, or other little juvenile fish that live in the seagrass.
Generally, Bermuda's reefs are very healthy, which is quite interesting given that there's a lot of people here on a relatively small island, so potentially a big impact, of man on the reefs. But most of Bermuda's reefs are very healthy, perhaps in part to the fact that we're quite far north here and we don't experience some of the high temperatures, some of the unusually warm summers that the Caribbean's been getting recently. Parts of Bermuda's reefs have 80 to 90% coral cover on the seabed, which is absolutely fantastic. Really, it's quite difficult to pick out any major trends or many changes. In the last 15 years, there's been a couple of bleaching events where the corals have lost a lot of their colour. That's a sign of them being stressed. But overall, there hasn't been a great decline in Bermuda's reefs. But because there are so few coral species here, although there's a lot of coral, in actual number of species, there aren't a huge number of species. So the reefs here are actually quite vulnerable. You've only got to take a few species away because of bleaching or disease, and that's going to have a real big impact on the ecosystem. So the monitoring, what the BioNauts have been doing today, is still really, really valuable, and it will continue to be valuable in the future.
You get asked about global climate change, and I just like to be able to be one of the ones who can give some answers to it and know that I can back those up, and it's not just because I've read it somewhere, that I've actually been out doing the data, looked at the data, spoke with people about the data. And I guess there's the little savior in me that wants to go out and save the world. And me being phytoplankton, they are the little saviors. They're the little rainforests of the ocean, and that's my specialty. So there are those days where you're like, I really could be much happier on land. But then there's those perfect days where it's flat calm, you're out in the middle of nowhere, it's flat, glassy calm, the sun's setting, you have a whale off to your port, and you're just, it's bliss.
Today was just one day of monitoring that we got to look in on, but they go out every month, and they've been going out every month for 50 years and collecting this data to try to get a trend over a period of time of climate change. And a way that climate change can be indicated is through changes in temperature of the ocean. We as a human race know more about the surface of the moon than we do about the surface of the ocean floor below us, which is kind of astonishing considering it's 10 times easier to go down to the bottom than it is to fly up to the moon. So it's really important that they're doing this, and it was a good opportunity to be able to go out and experience just one day of something they do every single month.
So what have we learned this week? We've had a good look at the coral reef. We know that reefs in Bermuda are generally healthy. We've seen some signs of disease, and we need to keep monitoring them. We've looked at the seagrass. It's in decline, but not for the reasons that it's normally in decline around the world. More study is necessary there. And the deep ocean, it's our barometer. We need to keep monitoring the deep ocean. We've seen at least a degree temperature rise in the last few decades. Where's it going to go from here? So we've done a lot of science, and as with all scientists, you ask one question, you come up with an answer, and you ask a few more questions. There's so much more to do, and I'm hoping that a lot of our BioNauts this year will be coming back in future years to continue this process, to answer these big questions, to be the watchdogs for the environment and the health of the oceans around Bermuda. But I hope that you've also seen that while you're doing some science, you're also having a lot of fun. Exploring isn't just about your head in a book or your head in a microscope. You're really out there enjoying, seeing what the ocean has to offer, enjoying this beautiful environment, this beautiful world we're in. And along with that, I guess, love of the environment comes a sense of stewardship. We have to look after it. And hopefully the guys who've been along with us this week have in their heads adopted a section of Bermuda, a section of the ocean, and I'm hoping that a lot of you will as well. So thank you for being part of BIOS Explorer, and we'll see you next year.